Today we're talking about the 1 to 4 player game Gardlings, designed by a father-daughter team, Christian Otsby and Maria Ostby, and published by Alion Games. Now, in this video, we're going to talk about how to play the game and the things that I like about the game, as well as some things you might not like about the game. But before we do, let's look at why you might care about this game in the first place. So you can see from its profile, the game is heavily focused more on mechanics than theme. It's a more isolated game. The artistry of the game is like nothing to write home about. Nice artwork, but yeah. And then for skill, here's the thing that I think makes the game really stand out. Now, it is a simple game, but if you're familiar with the game Quacks of Quedlinburg, it is more skill than Quacks of Quedlinburg. So for a game that is a push your luck style mechanic, as you're going to find out, I think this makes the game a lot more interesting. And then finally, for complexity, it's a pretty simple game. So if you are looking for a family game that has a good amount of like engaging strategy, but not too much to overwhelm, especially kids, this might be a game you're really interested in. Let's take a look at how to play. In Gardlings, players are going to be drawing domino tiles from a bag. Now, some of these domino tiles are going to have a little gnome on them. Now, the gnomes steal your gems, and the object of the game is to get as many gems as you can. Every edge that's touching must align with gems on the adjacent domino. Now, whenever you stop drawing dominoes, you get to take, or you get that much credit for buying new dominoes for your bag. But if at any point you have more than 5 gnomes, you bust, and the gnomes steal 3 gems from you. Now, 3 gems isn't so bad, but because this game has a little bit of a race element to it, you're pushed onward by your opponents, trying to buy the most valuable tiles before anybody else can. So it's got the press your luck style to the game. Now, the only other thing that makes the game stand out, aside from domino placement and pressing your luck, is that each tile has a specific action. So, as an example of a few tiles, the bird is the only tile that has wilds on its edge. So those can align with any gem. And what is this? I think it's called a mushling. Oh, and the gardener, sorry. And the gardeners are the only gems that have triple gem bonus. So you can get a lot more gems whenever you align gardeners. The dragons, they don't do anything unless you have 3 of them. And if you have 3 dragons, they will cancel out 1 gnome. So that can actually help you draw more and more tiles. And so you have different actions like this. Oh, you know, one of my favorite ones, I didn't take it out, but the unicorn. The unicorn is a tile that can be moved at any time. You can just move it around as you need to fix your layout. So, what do I like about this game? Well, I played this with my kids the first night I got back from Essenspiel. I had all these games. This was the first one we played. And the reason why is because I knew it would be the fastest game to learn and play. If you are looking for the type of game that you can just very quickly set up, play the game, and have it not take too long, especially when you have younger kids, this is a game you're really going to like. I also really enjoyed this game because everyone is drawing their tiles at the same time. So there is no delay of game because, you're waiting for somebody to take their turn. Granted, if one person busts very quickly, they can be out while somebody else is still drawing tiles. However, this is mitigated by the fact that when you are buying tiles, you can only buy 1. And so every round, people will have the same number of tiles in their bag. But depending on how lucky they are, it may take them longer or less time. As far as always getting a tile, even if you bust, you can get a pity pig. And so the pity pig is a pretty crummy tile, but it grants you a coin, which you can count as a credit towards a future purchase. So that's kind of nice because the punishment in this game is not as severe as it is in Quacks of Quedlinburg, which, if you haven't played that game, I kind of don't like it. The the game is way too severe when you bust, and it's far more focused on luck and bag building than on actual tile placement, which I think is really what sells this game. That little bit of extra strategic depth. So very quick to set up, easy to play. You're not waiting for anybody to take the turn. You've got that extra degree of strategy. What's not to like about the game? What's not to like about the game? I really like this game. I like this game a lot. It's hard to pick something out about the game to say, hey, you might not like it for such and such reason, because what the designer is trying to do, the designer has accomplished. This is exactly the amount of weight for a family board game that if you're looking for, it does it very well. The only thing I guess that like this is, I'm really picking at small things here. So it says in the rule book that when you pick the gnomes should be selected randomly. And so not everyone is going to have the same gnome tiles. And in fact, here's a good example. These two gnome tiles, they have the same gems on them, but you can see that they're not aligned. The green and the yellow are reversed. And so there is no way to flip it. The backside is not useful. So what's not to like about this tile? Well, sometimes you can have, I think I've got one in here, gnome tiles that it just happens to be the case that they do align, right? So sometimes they do align, sometimes they don't align. This is going to be random, and because the tiles are randomly selected, you could be a player, I think this is possible, although I haven't looked at every single tile and like performed like a statistical analysis to make sure this is true, but it seems like you could end up with gnome tiles where no gnomes align perfectly, none of them. And then if that is the case, then you're at a disadvantage. And if some player has lots of their gnome tiles aligned perfectly, then it's just a luckier game for them. Or here's another one. The gardener, the one that has the triple gem, sometimes they have triple purple gems, sometimes they have triple pink gems. And you kind of have to remember what you've put in your bag, because if you buy a gardener who has triple purple gems and then later you forget and you buy a gardener that has triple pink gems, well, there's no way you can glean the bonus from that, because you're not going to be able to align those gardeners to get the color to match. So there's like almost a little bit of memory involved in this game, because you want to like put gems that will go, or dominoes that will have the right matching ups, but like, how can you do that? It's a little unwieldy. So I wouldn't say that you play the game and you're literally trying to remember all your dominoes so that you can get ones that line up, but sometimes it just randomly works out that you do. And I guess you could say, well, that's a flaw, but it doesn't affect the overall play. I mean, if you're playing this game, you're not sitting there with your most competitive friends, like getting all deep into the game and like like, it's not like that. This is a family game where you're sitting with your kids and everyone, adults included, is having a good time. That's what I like about the game. That's why I would recommend this game. And that game is Gardlings. So, upside down. So, thank you for watching this review. Hopefully you found it useful. If you're new to the channel, I always review things using that perfect board game formula. And if you want to find out more about it, you can take the perfect board game quiz, where you can answer a few questions and find out what your personal perfect board game formula is, and even get recommendations. So, thanks again for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.